First contact, first blood. The stars above Earth seemed peaceful, their ancient light shining quietly across the vast distances of space. But in the dark corners of the galaxy, the Voidborn Empire had already made its decision. For 10,000 years, they had ruled unchallenged, crushing hundreds of civilizations beneath their boots. Now their cold eyes turned toward a small blue planet called Earth, believing it would be another easy conquest. In the Imperial Command Chamber on the massive dreadnought Eternal Night, Supreme Overlord Zarnkres watched the holographic display of Earth with contempt. His scaled skin gleamed under the harsh lights as he studied reports from scout vessels. The humans had only recently ventured beyond their solar system, their technology primitive compared to Imperial standards. They should be terrified, ready to surrender at the first sign of Imperial might. But the last transmission intercepted from Earth contained only 6 words. No fear, no retreat, come forward. When Overlord Zarnkres heard this message, his rage erupted like a volcano. How dare these primitives show defiance when ancient civilizations trembled at just the mention of the Voidborn? He slammed his armored fist against the command console, cracking its surface, and ordered immediate preparation for invasion. But Earth was not as defenseless as it appeared. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a command center carved into the seafloor, General Farah Karim stood before the United Earth Defense Council. Her dark eyes reflected the glow of tactical displays showing the approaching Imperial fleet. The Voidborn believe they're facing a primitive species, she said, her voice calm and measured. They have no idea what humanity has been preparing for. For decades, Earth had secretly observed the Empire's expansion. Hidden outposts scattered throughout nearby star systems had watched, learned, and prepared. While maintaining a facade of technological inferiority, Earth's greatest minds had been developing weapons and defenses specifically designed to counter Imperial technology. Operation Thundershield is ready, General Karim continued. The stealth fleet is in position and orbital defense platforms are armed. We've been anticipating this moment for 30 years. High above Earth, invisible to Imperial scanners, Captain Nikolai Volkov commanded the TSS Thunderbolt, the most advanced warship ever built by human hands. The vessel's quantum displacement engines and adaptive armor made it nearly undetectable, allowing it to shadow the Imperial scouts for weeks. All stations report ready, Captain, said Lieutenant Commander Hanako Ishida, Volkov's second-in-command. Her fingers danced across the tactical display, highlighting the approaching Imperial vanguard. Good, Volkov replied, his voice carrying the weight of responsibility. A tall man with prematurely gray hair and eyes that had seen too much conflict, he understood what was at stake. Remember, we must make this first strike count. The Empire needs to learn humanity will not be an easy meal. As the first wave of Imperial attack ships crossed the outer defense perimeter, they were confident and arrogant. 300 of their fastest vessels surged forward, expecting minimal resistance. Their commanders had conquered worlds with far more obvious defenses without breaking a sweat. What happened next would reshape galactic history. The TSS Thunderbolt and 11 other stealth destroyers suddenly decloaked, surrounding the Imperial vanguard. Before the Voidborn ships could react, the human vessels launched a devastating barrage of kinetic impactors and graviton missiles, weapons specifically designed to bypass Imperial shields. The impactors struck with the force of small asteroids, while the graviton missiles created localized distortions that tore enemy ships apart from the inside. In less than 3 minutes, all 300 Imperial attack ships were destroyed or disabled, their wreckage spinning silently in the void. Aboard the Eternal Night, silence fell over the command chamber. Overlord Zarnkres stared at the tactical display, unable to process what had just happened. No species had ever inflicted such casualties on an Imperial fleet so quickly, not even the legendary Shavar Alliance before their subjugation. Impossible, whispered Fleet Commander Vormak, his voice trembling. Their technology should be centuries behind ours. Zarnkres's eyes narrowed to slits. They deceived us, he hissed. They've been watching us, preparing for us. This changes nothing, it only means we will make them suffer before the end. Back on Earth, the news of the first victory spread quickly. In plazas and city centers, humans gathered around massive screens showing footage of the battle. There was celebration, but it was tempered with the knowledge that this was merely the opening move in a much larger conflict. On Mars, Europa, and distant human colonies scattered throughout the solar system, defense forces moved to high alert. Underground bunkers opened, revealing batteries of planetary defense cannons. Civilian ships were recalled to protected zones, and reserve military personnel reported for active duty. In the command center beneath the Pacific, General Karim received the battle reports with grim satisfaction. Captain Volkov performed exactly as expected, she told the Defense Council. But the Empire will not underestimate us again. Their next attack will be far more powerful. The Council's eldest member, Dr. Marcus Way, nodded slowly. Then it's time to activate the Phoenix Protocol. All hidden fleets, all experimental weapons, everything we have. Even as Earth prepared, the Voidborn Empire was already mobilizing its true might. Overlord Zarnkres summoned his most feared commander, Grand Admiral Zulthrak, known throughout the galaxy as the Worldbreaker. Where Zulthrak went, planets died and species were extinguished. You will take the Leviathan Dreadnought, Zarnkres ordered. Burn their orbit, make their skis weep fire. I want this species broken so thoroughly that even the memory of their defiance is erased. The Leviathan was the Empire's ultimate weapon, a vessel 30 kilometers long armed with planet-cracking weapons and protected by shields that had never been penetrated. It had broken the will of 100 worlds simply by appearing in their skis. As the massive Imperial Armada reassembled, Captain Volkov and the TSS Thunderbolt moved to rejoin Earth's defensive perimeter. On the bridge, he studied long-range scans showing the approaching force. They're bringing everything, Lieutenant Commander Ishida reported, including the Leviathans. Volkov's expression remained unchanged, but his eyes hardened. Then we'll need to show them everything we have as well. Signal headquarters, it's time for Phoenix Rising. Across the solar system, hidden shipyards revealed their secrets. Vessels that had been built in secret, technologies developed by studying salvaged Imperial tech, and weapons systems that pushed the boundaries of physics, humanity's full arsenal was finally unveiled. From the dark side of the moon, Admiral Junko Takahashi's Phoenix fleet emerged, 60 warships built with a perfect blend of human innovation and reverse-engineered alien technology. From the asteroid belt, Commander Darius Jackson's stealth carriers launched swarms of fighters with pilots trained specifically to exploit weaknesses in Imperial formations. As the massive Imperial fleet approached Earth, they encountered not a frightened primitive world, but a fortress prepared for war. The space around Earth had become a deadly gauntlet of defense platforms, minefields and warships arranged in formations that confused Imperial targeting systems. Captain Volkov stood on the bridge of the Thunderbolt, watching as the Leviathan appeared from behind Mars, its massive hull blocking out the stars. He thought of his home in the Urals, of his daughter who had just started university, of all that humanity had built and dreamed. All ships, he said into the fleet-wide channel, his voice calm but resolute. Phoenix formation. Remember the oath, no fear, no retreat. Across every human vessel, crews moved to battle stations. They were outnumbered and facing an enemy with millennia of conquest behind them, but Earth would not kneel. Earth would not surrender. And as the first salvos from both sides lit up the darkness of space, the galaxy was about to learn that humanity was unlike any species the Empire had ever faced. The Leviathan fired its main cannon, a beam of purple energy that cut through space itself, destroying 3 human cruisers instantly. But instead of breaking formation, the Earth fleet accelerated, closing the distance and hammering the Imperial flagship with everything they had. The battle had only just begun, and already the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, watching as humanity stood defiant against the storm. The storm breaks. The Leviathan's massive shadow fell across Earth's orbital defenses like an eclipse of hope, its hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The wounded Imperial flagship still possessed enough firepower to reduce continents to ash, and behind it, thousands of support vessels spread across space in attack formation. In the command center beneath the Pacific, General Farah Karim watched tactical displays with steady eyes. The first battle had been won, but the real war was just beginning. Imperial reinforcements poured in from hyperspace portals at the edge of the solar system, and cruisers, destroyers, and troop carriers by the hundreds. They're bringing in their entire 7th Fleet, reported Strategic Officer Wei Cheng. Our long-range scans detect over 6,000 vessels approaching, with more arriving every hour. General Karim's expression remained unchanged. Then we proceed with Constellation Protocol. Alert all outer colonies to activate their defense grids and begin evacuation of civilians to the deep bunkers. Across the solar system, humanity prepared for the greatest battle in its history. On Mars, Commander Octavia Rodriguez activated the planetary shield grid, hidden generators powering up beneath the red sands. In the Jupiter moons, Admiral Takahashi's Phoenix fleet regrouped, taking advantage of the gas giant's magnetic field to mask their movements. The Empire expects us to make our stand at Earth, Takahashi told her captains during their secure briefing. They don't realize how far our defenses extend or how much we've prepared. For 3 decades, humanity had studied the Voidborn, learning their tactics, their technology, and most importantly, their weaknesses. While maintaining a facade of being just another primitive civilization, Earth's best minds had developed countermeasures specifically designed for this moment. Aboard the Imperial Leviathan, Grand Admiral Zulthrak surveyed damage reports with cold fury. Half his command deck was exposed to vacuum, and the main planet-killer cannon would require 12 hours to realign after the Thunderbolt's precision strike. The humans are more resourceful than anticipated, he admitted to his war council. But they have merely delayed the inevitable. Prepare all forces for the final assault. No mercy, no survivors. The Imperial war machine moved with terrifying efficiency. Dropships filled with elite shock troops prepared for planetary invasion. Bomber wings assembled into attack squadrons. Support vessels deployed massive EMP generators designed to disable Earth's electrical grid. Captain Nikolai Volkov and the TSS Thunderbolt had withdrawn to the far side of the moon, making emergency repairs while monitoring Imperial movements. Despite the victory of the first battle, his ship had taken heavy damage, with half its weapon systems offline. Engineering reports the main railgun will be operational in 3 hours, Lieutenant Commander Ishida reported. But our antimatter reserves are down to 18%. Volkov nodded, studying the tactical display. We won't need much antimatter for what comes next. Order all crew to ready stations and prepare for Operation Sunspear. Operation Sunspear was perhaps the most desperate gambit in humanity's defense plan, a direct assault on the Leviathan's command center. While Earth's forces engaged the bulk of the Imperial fleet, the Thunderbolt would attempt to penetrate the flagship's defenses and disable its central control systems. As the massive Imperial armada approached Earth's orbit, they expected resistance but not the welcome they received. From hidden positions within the asteroid belt, automated defense platforms activated, launching thousands of miniature hunter-killer drones. From beneath the lunar surface, massive railgun arrays emerged, firing hypervelocity rounds that could penetrate Imperial shields through sheer kinetic force. And from Earth itself, something the Empire had never encountered before, the atmospheric defense grid, a network of ground-based energy weapons that turned the planet's ionosphere into a deadly shield. The first wave of Imperial bombers disintegrated upon entry, their particles scattered across the upper atmosphere in spectacular auroras. Impossible, whispered Commander Vormak on the Leviathan's bridge. Their technology cannot be this advanced. They were barely space-faring 2 decades ago. Grand Admiral Zulthrak's eyes narrowed. They deceived us. They've been studying us, preparing for us specifically. His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Release the Void Lancers. The Void Lancers were the Empire's elite special forces, genetically enhanced warriors encased in armor that could withstand the vacuum of space and armed with weapons that could level cities. 5,000 drop pods launched from Imperial carriers, each containing a squad of these dreaded soldiers. Earth's defenses tracked the pods but couldn't intercept them all. Some broke through, crashing into strategic locations across the planet. In Moscow, Rio de Janeiro, Nairobi, and Beijing, the invaders emerged from their landing craft and engaged Earth's defenders in brutal combat. But here too, the Empire found unexpected resistance. Humanity's soldiers were equipped with experimental battle armor reverse-engineered from salvaged Imperial technology. What they lacked in genetic enhancements, they made up for in ferocity and home field advantage. For every human that fell, they took 3 Void Lancers with them. In orbit, the battle raged with unprecedented intensity. Admiral Takahashi's Phoenix fleet emerged from behind Jupiter, catching the Imperial rearguard by surprise. Captain Darius Jackson's stealth carriers launched swarms of fighters that targeted the Empire's support vessels, disrupting their formation. But the Empire's numbers were overwhelming. For every Imperial ship destroyed, 3 more took its place. Earth's orbital defenses began to buckle under the onslaught, defense platforms falling one by one. The Phoenix fleet, despite its advanced technology, was being pushed back toward Earth's atmosphere. Then came the moment that would be remembered throughout human history. The TSS Thunderbolt, operating under complete communications blackout, slipped through a gap in the Imperial formation created by Admiral Takahashi's diversionary attack. With its stealth systems operating beyond safe parameters, the ship approached the wounded Leviathan undetected. "All hands, this is the captain," Volkov announced throughout the ship. "We have one shot at this. If we succeed, we give Earth a fighting chance. If we fail," he paused. "It has been an honor serving with each of you." The Thunderbolt accelerated to maximum speed, aiming for the Leviathan's exposed reactor housing. Damage from the previous battle had left a small vulnerability in the Dreadnought's otherwise impenetrable armor. At the last possible moment, the stealth systems were diverted to shields, and the ship fired its remaining antimatter reserves in a concentrated beam directly at the reactor core. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a miniature sun blooming in orbit as the Leviathan's power core destabilized. The massive flagship broke apart, secondary explosions rippling through its hull as compartments decompressed and ammunition stores detonated. In the confusion, no one noticed a small escape craft ejecting from the Thunderbolt moments before impact. Captain Volkov had ordered his crew to evacuation pods, but remained aboard himself to ensure the mission's success. Lieutenant Commander Ishida had refused to leave her captain, and together they piloted the craft away from the dying Leviathan. Across the battlefield, communications channels filled with shocked exclamations in 100 Imperial languages. The indestructible flagship, the symbol of Imperial might, was breaking apart before their eyes. Grand Admiral Zulthrak, the Worldbreaker, was dead, along with his entire command staff. Without central coordination, the Imperial assault faltered. Different fleet commanders began issuing contradictory orders, creating gaps in their formation that Earth's defenders immediately exploited. But the cost had been enormous. The Thunderbolt was gone, sacrificed to give humanity a chance. The Phoenix fleet had lost nearly half its ships. Defense platforms around Earth were operating at 30% capacity. Ground forces on every continent were engaged in desperate battles with Void Lancer strike teams. Then something unexpected happened. From the outer reaches of the solar system, new signals appeared on Earth sensors. Not Imperial, not human, but something else entirely. "General, we're detecting 300 unidentified vessels approaching from the Kuiper Belt," reported Officer Wei Cheng. "They're transmitting on all frequencies in multiple languages." The message was simple: humanity stood against the darkness when no one else would. Now you do not stand alone. It was the Resistance, a coalition of species from across the galaxy who had suffered under Imperial rule. Smugglers, rebels, exiled scientists, and warriors who had once been hunted by the Empire, now united under a single cause. They had watched in secret as humanity defied the undefeatable and decided the time had come to join the fight. As their ships engaged the Imperial fleet from behind, targeting command vessels and communication relays, the balance of power shifted once more. The Empire, already disorganized from the loss of the Leviathan, found itself caught between two forces fighting with nothing to lose. In the heart of the battle, the small escape craft carrying Volkov and Ishida was recovered by a Resistance vessel. The human captain, wounded but alive, was brought to the bridge where he met Krelvos, the Resistance commander. "Your world did what no other dared," the alien said, its translators converting its harmonic language to human speech. "You gave the galaxy something it had forgotten: hope." As the tide of battle turned, as Imperial ships began to retreat in disarray, something unprecedented spread across the comm channels of 100 worlds. The news that the Empire could be defeated, that the unbreakable could be broken. On Earth, even as battles still raged in cities and orbital platforms still burned, General Karim received the latest reports with grim satisfaction. The cost had been terrible, the losses heartbreaking, but humanity had not fallen. They had not surrendered. They had not run. And now they were not alone. As the remnants of the Imperial fleet fled the solar system, abandoning their ground forces and scrambling back to hyperspace portals, a message was broadcast from Earth to every corner of the galaxy. "Today we stood, tomorrow we rise, no fear, no retreat." The first great battle for Earth was over. The galactic war for freedom had just begun.